Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest,
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
innovate,
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
and inspire.
I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You're now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show. Today's episode, we have a very special guest that has been highly requested by many of you who are on YouTube watching my channel. He's out in Idaho Falls doing big things in real estate, multifamily specifically. He runs a sales organization, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other things he's doing that I don't know about that I'm excited to hear about. And that very special guest is Chandler Smith. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, dude. So you flew out to Vegas today. We've kind of been hanging out at the office and everything, but you know, we've been just kind of talking about my story. I want to hear your story, dude.
Yeah, well, your story's incredible. This has been a blast. This operation here, like,
Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean, I've watched some videos, but I was blown away.
Yeah, dude. So tell me about how you got started.
Yeah, so it all started right as I got into college. I needed a job, and I decided to go out and sell pest control door to door.
Okay.
So I was recruited from the college I was attending, and I picked up my life, and I moved out to LA, California. And week one, I was the worst salesman ever. So I knocked doors for a week straight, didn't sell anything. Probably one of the worst experiences of my life. And then things clicked. So I finally got a sell, and then within a couple hours, I had 3 more, made about $1,000 that day. And then it just kind of exploded from there. So in a 3.5-month summer that first year, I ended up making over $96,000 selling pest control.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Bro, I thought I had discovered couch flipping and it was like the best thing ever. And now I hear that I could have been selling pest control, you know, in 3 months and making the same. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, so it was really cool. But yeah, after that, I needed a place for my money, and that's what kind of got me into real estate, and I loved sales, so I started training sales reps and building a sales organization, and the rest is kind of history.
So, and I want to dive into sales, you know, later on in the show, but tell me about the real estate. You know, you built up this sales organization. What happened after?
Yeah, it had been, first year I just put the money in the bank, but I had a mentor that kind of pushed me towards real estate, and it just made sense. And so I started looking for deals. Deal flow was a struggle early on, but I found some people that needed a loan on the house, but they had terrible credit. And so I actually gave them a $90-something thousand loan on their home. They had $25,000 down, and they were paying me 9.5% interest. So getting those monthly payments, I was like, all right, I like this.
Yeah.
So
you were seller financing.
Yeah. Yeah, except I wasn't the
Oh,
seller.
you were hard money.
Yeah.
You were just doing hard money. Yeah.
Yeah, and so after going through that, I started looking at buy and hold stuff. I got a condo that I bought cash because, the next year I made $140,000 doing this job, and it just kind of was growing. So bought a condo. It was honestly not the best purchase. I bought it in all cash. I didn't understand leverage yet, but that kind of made things start to click as well. And then I got a duplex and a duplex and a fourplex and an eightplex, and then it turned into a 24-plex and a 32-plex, and it's just kind of scaled from there.
That's crazy, dude. So as I understand it, you've got this organization still that's selling pest control, but it's a lot different than when you were making $90,000 your first year. What's it look like now?
Yeah, so right now we have pushing 600 sales reps that are signed up to come and sell for us this upcoming summer. And so my job now is just training sales reps and training the leaders that are going to be taking care of them. So we've got locations all over the United States. They have that 3 to 4 month period where a lot of our sales reps are students that they go and get shipped across the country.
Yeah.
And we give them the best sales training in the world, and they go start knocking doors. And so I'll travel around in the summer and do training and just do everything involved with recruiting, hiring, training, managing those sales reps.
Nice, dude. So with sales, I'm very big on sales. That's the lifeblood of almost every business. It really is. And, you said you didn't start out as a very good sales guy. What changed?
I think a combination of a lot of things. I think a lot of times when you start selling something, you're just presenting, right? You're leaving it up in the air. And so for me, the biggest transition wasn't necessarily being likable or getting people to listen to me. And I got better at those things too, but it was closing. It was, not asking an open-ended question, but knowing how to close people. And then after closing them, knowing how to resolve their concern if they didn't want it,
right,
and throw in an ace and close again, and resolve an ace and close, and resolve an ace and close, so that you get really good at figuring out what people's concerns are and closing.
Yeah. And, we see that all the time when we're trying to, close real estate deals and everything like that. You call them, throwing these aces. What does that mean?
So anything to add value. And if you're going to open up the door or open up the floodgates, but with an ace, there's a preface, feature, benefit, and we train our reps how to get people to feel good about the product when we're adding value to it. And so if you want, we can dive into that, but essentially it's just adding value, whether it's dropping price, whether it's mentioning something else about the service, whatever it is, and getting them agreeing with you, getting multiple yeses, and then going into another close.
Right. No, I love talking about sales, and, I don't think we have a lot of sales guys who, come on the podcast and are passionate about sales. So I do want to talk about that. For us, we've taken a lot of different sales courses. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars hiring sales trainers, trying to build up my team because, I've seen it on the other side where you have bad sales guys and you're getting the same exact leads, and all of a sudden revenue is in half. And you're like, why? Like nothing has changed. And it's just because on my end, really just bad training, at the end of the day. And so that's why I'm like trying to pick your brain on sales. Like, how can I become a better trainer for, the sales guys in all my companies? And I totally agree with you that transition from, having that conversation, building rapport, letting them know about the product to actually closing them is the hardest part. Get them to pull out the credit card or sign the contract or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, really. I mean, I think in the sales process, you've got multiple hard parts, and you've got the initial approach where you're just trying to get them to listen. You're trying to not get shut down.
Yeah.
But then you've got your pitch where you're trying to build value, and then you're going to have those concerns. And I think it's so hard because a lot of times you've got reps that can get through the initial concerns. They can go through the pitch, but if they can't close, none of that other stuff matters.
Right.
With that being said, I have some people that, they know how to close, and I'm always trying to help them with their upfront, because a lot of times sales reps get portrayed as pushy or rude. And a lot of times if you've got a good closer, they're pushy or rude. And so finding a way to get them to be likable and to get them to get through that initial jar and through the approach where they're staying likable so then they can close is also a struggle. And so there are multiple issues, but that's what I love about it is I truly believe that anyone can be a good sales rep.
Really?
I think that if they have the right pitch and we're able to work on their verbals, nonverbal, paraverbal communication, we can get them to a point where they can become a good salesman if they just do what we give them. And so when people say that, for me, it's like, no, like you can take someone and make them good. The hard part is finding someone with a work ethic to do what you give
who's
them.
willing to, knock all the doors, handle all the no's, all the FUs, everything that comes with,
Exactly.
cold calling or cold door knocking. It's not easy. I think that for us has been the biggest thing that prevents people from succeeding. It's just not that we can't train them, like you said. It's just they can't handle the rejection or the failure.
100%.
Yeah. And it is tough early on, man.
And that's the other thing is it's like anything. I mean, people come into a sales job and it's so concentrated, right? If you do any other job, you could be there for a month and handle not being successful. But when you're in a sales job and like you said, you're getting those FUs, a week of no success is hard in a sales job.
Yeah. And for real estate investors, I say this all the time, like it is the same thing. You are going to get rejected. Even if you're not like marketing, you're just putting in offers on all these properties and doing all this stuff. And, 99% of them don't pan out. To get that good deal, you're really looking for the 1% of the 1%. And so you have to be able to deal with rejection in this business.
It's so true. And I think it's frustrating as well because when you're trying to get the 1%, very little mistakes can kill you.
Yeah.
And if you're playing scared or you're down or you're frustrated, people see that. People hear that in your voice. And that's another big aspect, is getting someone to treat every door or every pitch like they're first, because they know the right thing to do. But when you've had 10 no's in a row doing the right thing, you start to not do the right thing.
Yeah. You know what's cool about you is that you are clearly explaining this. I can tell you can train the heck out of salespeople.
Thank you.
I am kind of the opposite. I'm naturally a good sales guy, always have been. Just when I was a kid, I was good at negotiating. I got suspended at school for selling Pokemon cards. But, you know, when I got into real estate and couch flipping, all those negotiations just continued to grow, all the tricks. But I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I could sense the right way of when to push, when to pull back, you know, how to approach a certain person and how their temperament was and all of these things. And I developed EQ really well through that, but I could not really explain how I do what I do. And I saw somebody mention, like, there's a lot of great coaches who were not great players, you know, in their sport, because they're good at explaining it. You know, they studied the game, they just happen to not be that great at it. And then you have like a lot of good players who are terrible coaches because they were just naturally gifted. They don't know why, but they could just wake up, go to the gym and dominate. And that's cool that you're both. You know, you've dominated as a sales guy yourself, and then you're still able to give that wisdom.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. I think for me, one thing that was fascinating about coming and seeing your business is I do feel that I've become very good at training sales reps and duplicating myself in that aspect. But when you look at this business you've created, you've done the same thing. And maybe it's not in sales training, but in the way that you've been able to put people in the right places. And it looks like you've found people that are really good at sales training. And so I would even say that's even the next level. So I thank you. That's a really nice compliment, but it's really cool how you've systemized your stuff as well.
For sure. And what I'll say too is quick plug for you. I know that you guys are always hiring.
We are.
You know, these sales reps for pest control and everything. So if you are watching the YouTube version right now, we're going to link to it below in the description, and we'll put it in the show notes on Apple Podcasts so they can reach out to you and, you know, get trained up and make $100,000 in 3 months. You know what's actually funny about that is you told me that a lot of times you have to tell people that, you know, you can make $15,000 in 3 months, even though you can make 100, because it's like people don't believe it.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious. I mean, this year we had, of our new reps that came and worked with me, 26% that ended up making over $50,000, right?
Right.
So then you've got that other top 5 to 10%, depending on the year, that can get up to the 6-figure mark. And if you share those numbers with someone that's never heard about this job before, immediately they think it's a scam.
It's a scam. Yeah.
And so when we pitch it, especially when, you know, we've got people that apply through YouTube or other stuff, I have to be careful to just be like, no, like, yeah, you can come and make $15,000.
Yeah.
Can they make way more? Of course. But
yeah. And I do the same thing with wholesaling, because when I first heard of wholesaling, I was like, this is fake. You know, this is not something that's legit. And I ended up, you know, doing it later on, and I realized that this is legit, because I had heard of guys making $100,000 in one deal and without buying the house. I was like, no, you cannot do that. And so it's like, now anytime I tell anyone about wholesaling, I really have to like bring down expectations. I'm like, yeah, you could make $5,000 in a deal without buying a house. Like, you seriously can. And they're like, okay, like I can
do that.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to do that. But once again, it sells. It's like you have to convince them that it's possible. Whereas there might be somebody who they hear that 100,000 and it just makes them go crazy, because they're like, yeah, all right, like I believe it.
There's a different breed, and we push that because when you have people in your sales organization, you've got to find their hot buttons. You've got to find, like, I want to find my top 5 to 10% early on, and I want to give them the right motivation. I want to give them the right vision, because those people that are capable of it, a lot of times they just need to hear you say, you know, this is possible. You've got the skill set. You're putting in the work.
Right.
And a lot of times we'll hit that later on in the process once they've started working for us.
Yeah, for sure. So let's transition a little bit into real estate, man. So how many units do you have at this point?
So I've got 114 units of just buy and hold rental real estate. I own that 100% other than the bank loans I've got on it.
Nice.
And then I have a 73 unit storage complex, and I actually own 50%. That's the only partnership I've ever done with my best bud, Garrett Myers. So
Awesome.
we bought that one together, and that's been a fun project this last year.
I love it. That's, the same way I've been building my portfolio, just, owning them 100%. But my question to you is, I mean, you've been able to build what you've been able to build thus far. Why not do bigger deals, and partner up or syndications and stuff like that?
Yeah, I love chasing a deal. That's one thing I'll never get away from sales or negotiation, or like that's my passion. I feel like I'm good at it and I enjoy doing it. And so originally, did I think I would go into 100, 200, unit deals? Probably not, but now I think it is on my radar and I'd like to transition. The only hesitation I've had is I have seen some people that have not been smart and they borrow other people's money and they end up in trouble.
Right.
And so if I ever make that jump, I just want to be really careful because I never want to do anything that is at all risky when it comes to
Other
hurting
people's
someone
money.
else,
Right.
or risking my freedom because I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And so that's the only holdup. But do I think eventually I'll get there? Yeah, I do. I know this year I've got big goals for buying a lot of units, and I think I could see myself doing more and more partnerships because that one I did with Garrett has been a blast. So I think I'll get there. I think I might just scale a little slower than someone like you might. So
Yeah, for me, it's something that has been on my radar, right? I mean, that's how all these big apartment deals are bought. Nobody's really ever buying them 100%. You got the operator and you've got the guy raising the money. And for me, I've got so many of these deals sent to me all the time, and then I get people who have a lot of money. I mean, I've been raising money for a long time with my flips. And I've never tried to put them together until now. Because I was always like, well, I got to own the building 100% because that's how I've always done it. And it's not worth my time if I'm only going to own, 10, 20% of a deal. But now that I think about it and I'm like, well, yeah, it's not worth my time to own 10, 20% of a deal if I'm the operator and doing everything with finding the deal, with managing it and renovating it. Yeah, not worth my time. But if all I'm doing is bringing a deal to my investors, being the gap, and then taking a piece of the deal for making the deal happen, why not?
yeah,
It doesn't take a lot of time, and it benefits all parties. So, that's something I'm personally going to do. And I think with influence, you'll have the opportunity to do that as well.
yeah. No, I think you're very right. And I think it's a natural progression. And we've all seen Grant Cardone and the way that he's done that. Now, we both talked about how maybe we don't agree completely with some of the things that have been done there.
Yeah.
But
The concept
makes a
works.
lot of sense. And I think as long as you don't get greedy and you do things the right way, it's an incredible way to scale. And I think a great example of that is Brandon Turner.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you followed him and seen how he's done that, but it's been really cool. He now gives $100,000 to anyone that'll bring him a deal on that bigger stuff. And I would love to get to that place in the next couple of years for sure. And it sounds like you would too. So.
Yeah. So I was in Hawaii back in July of 2019. Brandon was having a mastermind, and I've been on Bigger Pockets a couple of times, but this was the first time meeting Brandon in person, and he was just coming up with that idea back then. They were talking about it, all the mobile homes, parks that they were trying to do, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. But back then I wasn't thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, whatever. But Brandon was doing the same thing. He's using his influence to raise money and then his influence to find deals. And, I just announced it like yesterday on Instagram stories. I already had 2 deals sent to me, right? Like 100 unit plus deals. And I had multiple people also message me like, hey, we want in on the deals that you're going to get. Because they trust me at this point. If Ryan thinks it's a deal, we're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And that's really how it's always been with my flips. Like at the end of the day, every flip we've ever done for the most part, my investors don't even really look at it. They're like, just how much do you want? Like, how much is it going to be? All right, cool. And that's how it goes down.
Well, and I think that's such an incredible place to be, right? Where you've built your brand, you've built your reputation. And I think that all comes back to making sure you do things the right way.
Right.
I've seen so many people that'll burn someone on a little project for $5,000.
Stupid.
It's like, dude, you've completely destroyed your reputation, and that carries over. But if you can have the reputation of being the guy that every time you've paid what you said you're going to pay, then people don't ask questions. It's like, dude, take my money.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say too, I've been transparent about losing hundreds of thousands of dollars on flips. I mean, when you flip a lot of homes, you're bound to lose on some. But the way I have my agreements with my lenders is that they're getting a flat interest rate, you know, and most of the time there's no equity split or anything. So if things go good, great. I make money. They make their interest. We all, you know, everyone's happy. If things go bad, they make their interest. I lose money. You know, it is what it is.
They're the reason you lost some of that money.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been better to do equity. We'd at least, you know, split. But yeah, you know, and they respect that. It's not like they're like, oh, Ryan lost money on a deal. Like, we'll never lend him again. They're like, dude, this guy still paid us back even when he lost money out of his own pocket. So it just builds your reputation even more because no one's perfect. You will lose money doing something.
Yeah. It's part of it. And I think, you know, it's important to not lose money, but it's also important to recognize that it's part of the process. And I think that's something I've recognized more and more, not only in, you know, you're going to lose money, but you're going to have to spend money to make money. You're going to need to invest in your business. And there are so many people that hold up on that. And that's, I thought I was good until I came here and I see how much you're just shelling out to build your businesses. And it's impressive.
Yeah, you know, we spent, we were talking about this set right now. We spent about $60,000 between the sets, the equipment, everything. And it's an investment, man. And it's an investment I think will pay off. But the investment's also contingent on me devoting myself to making content. And, you know, it's work. And so I'm like pretty much betting on myself, which is a bet I like to make.
Yeah.
If I'm going to bet, I would rather bet on myself versus, you know, GameStop and these other things.
It's very true. And I think that's what's so sad is a lot of people struggle to make that jump. I love how anything, you just kind of burn the bridges behind you and you roll because I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I've seen that multiple times in my life where when you take the jump to just get all in, everything else rolls the way that it should.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Are you looking to grow your real estate investing business? My company, Future Flipper, can help. We've taught hundreds of people all over the country how to flip, wholesale, and buy rental properties. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your investing journey. Whether you're trying to get your first deal or scale your company, Future Flipper can help. We have courses, coaching, and events for all levels of investors. So if you want to take the next step, go to futureflipper.com and book a free consultation to see how we can best help you. Once again, that's futureflipper.com. One of the hardest parts about real estate investing is finding a good contractor. That's where Southwestern Custom Construction comes in. They've been doing remodels in Nevada and Arizona since 2006. As a fully licensed and bonded general contractor, they're able to help with any type of renovation, all the way from an entry-level fixer-upper to a custom luxury home. Southwestern Custom Construction specializes in working with investors. I've personally used them on many of my projects, so I know their team is legit. If you want to get a bid on a project, head over to customhomenow.com. Once again, that's customhomenow.com. Are you looking to find off-market real estate deals? One of the best tools my team uses is Batch Leads. With Batch Leads, you're able to pull data, manage lists, and send text messages. On top of that, you can get nationwide access to the MLS to get pictures and comps. My team has used Batch Leads to get some of our best deals, so I know it works. If you want to start today, you can get half off your first month by going to batchleads.io and using the promo code Ryan. Once again, that's batchleads.io, promo code Ryan for half off your first month. Now, back to the show. So let's transition a little bit. You know, we're talking about influence and how it can raise money and help you get deals. I want to talk about what your journey's been like, building your YouTube channel and, you know, being active on social media. Tell us about that.
It's hard. It was a hard transition because everything I'd done up to that point, it was very much, I'm not a social media guy. I'll never be a social media guy.
Yeah.
I didn't download Instagram until, I don't know, it hasn't been that long ago. I was just so opposed to change. And making that transition has been really good because it's an incredible platform. And I think it has negatives if you use it wrong. But for me, once I made the transition and I saw that I was bringing value and people were enjoying it, I wanted to do it more. And as I purchased more real estate, I had more and more people coming to me saying, Chandler, we want to buy rental properties as well. We want to do what you've done. And with that, it was very easy to say, hey, I'm going to start doing videos. I don't have the time to do 5 lunch meetings a day and show people how to invest, but
Right.
I'm going to start making videos. And then when people ask me, I can say, go watch these 10 videos. Well, I'm sure it was maybe similar to you, but once I made 10 videos, I was like, man, I really like this. This is super fun. I'm bringing a ton more value to people. It's helping all of my businesses because people are reaching out with deals to me. People are reaching out that they want to work with me. And once I recognized it's a perfect piece to everything else I had going on, that's when I kind of said, hey, I need to buckle down and go all in on this. And I think there have been multiple times where it's, I thought I was all in and I need to be more all in because there's so much opportunity there.
So much opportunity. It's crazy. So when was that point where you decided, like, hey, this is smart. Like, I'm going to keep doing this?
Honestly, YouTube has always been my main platform. And I would say this year. Before that, I had been putting out a video once a week, once every couple weeks. And it was just to help people learn about real estate, right? Mm-hmm. The editing was subpar.
Yeah.
I was paying hardly anything to get the videos edited. It was an afterthought. I'd go down and film in 10 minutes and push it out. And then I think this year things really clicked.
You mean 2020 or 2021?
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the beginning of that year is when things clicked because I recognized how many people had come to my sales organization and how much value it brought to, people bringing in deals, the relationships, all of that. And that's when I kind of buckled down and just experimented with a lot of stuff. I was putting out, 2 to 3 videos a week. I decided to buy the car from the Stradman to see what that would do to the channel. I was doing collabs with people, and I think I got 80-something thousand subscribers. I think I was only at, between 10 and 20,000 at the beginning of that year, and then I just buckled down, and that's when things really blew up quick.
Dude, that's awesome. Tell me about the Stradman and that purchase.
Yeah, all of the sales reps that work for me knew that I was building a channel, and they knew how it was kind of helping our business, and everyone has always pushed me to spend more money. Like, I've made great money for 9-10 years now doing sales, and every dime of that was going into purchasing real estate. I've always lived, I rented an apartment for years. So I think I owned 20-something units, and I was still renting a 2-bedroom apartment,
Right.
And so I've always been someone to not spend on those things. And they really were pushing me to spend on those things. And so I justified it in a couple ways. One, I love just tossing the keys to my sales reps and saying, go drive the car, which has caused some weird things because then there's Instagram stories of people speeding in the car and part of it. But I love giving people that experience. That was one reason. To build the channel, that was another. But it also is just a sick car.
Yeah.
And it was time for me to kind of reward myself for a lot of hard work.
The delayed gratification.
Yeah, of course. And then once I did it, it kind of opened the floodgates.
And then what happened?
This was the year of spending. 2020 for me was the year of spending because I bought a 32-plex at the beginning of the year. I bought a 15-plex at the end of the year. I bought the C8 Corvette. I bought the Ferrari 458 Spider. And I am building my dream home. And I bought a duplex. And I put a ton of money back into my business. So it was kind of like I lost my shiz this year just scaling everything.
Yeah.
And I recognized my cash flow on my properties was nuts, and a lot of that I'd just been setting aside, not using to live. And that's always been my rule, is if I can buy the fun stuff with the cash flow created from my properties, then I can do it. And even though I had that rule, I hadn't been spending a lot of it. And so this year
you're just like, it's time to go, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a good thing, man. I remember, you've been on Graham's podcast. I've been on Graham's podcast. And if you don't know what we're talking about, it's Graham Stephan. And, he's like the cheapest guy ever. And I remember.
And he knows it. He's not ashamed of it.
No, he don't care. I mean, that's who he is. And once again, personal brand. That's the brand he's built. And ironically, with his brand, it'd be difficult for him to spend because then it's like, what's going on with him?
Yeah.
But he don't even want to spend, so it doesn't even matter. It won't matter. But I remember asking him, I'm like, dude, at what point do you start enjoying, all the wealth you're creating? Because it's not going anywhere. Like, at this point, you can afford to go get your coffee and enjoy a nice dinner. And I remember it might have been on the show or after the show. He was talking about how, he was super excited to go to sushi on Friday and spend like $30 on sushi. I was like, what? I'm like, bro, like, number one, $30 sushi is not like anything to get excited for. Okay. And number two, you could eat that every night if you really wanted to. Like,
you could eat it 20 times a day and it wouldn't touch your income.
Yeah, you won't even notice that you ate it. Like, and then, you'll go and spend, whatever, $30,000 on a Rolex or something. Like, whatever. It's just like this weird thing where we all have this, limit in our mind of like, hey, this is acceptable for my lifestyle. This is not, and, I always told myself, I'll consider myself rich the day I can go out and eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Like, that was my big thing because I grew up as a poor minor league baseball player. And I remember on the road, we'd eat McDonald's all the time. We would have to meal prep cheap. We would, I was so frugal and I had to be. It's not that I wanted to be. I didn't like being frugal, but I had to do what I had to do. And I just remember thinking, man, like, if I could just not have to worry about making food anymore and just eat whatever I want, I'll be like rich in my mind.
Yeah. Well, and I think delayed gratification is something that most successful people have. It's just learning how to transition that energy a little bit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because it requires, and I'm sure you feel the same way, but it requires some self-control to say, I need to spend this money on my business.
Right.
Once you've created those good habits of delayed gratification, you've kind of got to step back and say, all right, what really is going to help me grow and progress and build my business? And that's nothing against Graham. Like, I love the brand he's created. However, I do think that there are certain things that if you can step back and say, no, if I'm willing to spend more here, one, I'm going to enjoy it, but two, it's going to help build my business.
100%.
And so it's important to find that line and grow with it. And it's important to be thrifty early on. That's a huge blessing. When you're trying to get started, I mean, I'm a big believer that your income is more important than saving on your expense. However, when you've got no income and you're trying to build something, it's important to put away as much as you can to get that momentum going.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the thing that I've realized too is because I'm in a certain point in my life, I shouldn't judge other people being at a certain point in their life. And so like an example was when I was building my business, I was super thrifty, like you said, because I needed to reinvest every dollar I could back into my business. And like the flipping business is cash heavy. It's not like the sales business where, we're generating revenue kind of out of thin air, really.
Yeah.
It's like for me to generate revenue, I need a lot of capital to do it. And so I was super thrifty. And it wasn't until finally that I had saved up enough bankroll and, I'd raised enough money where it was like, hey, now I don't need to use my own cash to buy all these and fund my business. I've got all this other stuff now. And that was when I started to be a little more loose with my money and enjoy, buying a nice car. Last year kind of was the year of spending for me too. I bought a Tesla. I would have never, 2 years prior, if I saw myself buying a Tesla, I would have made fun of me.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, that clown, like, why is he buying this expensive Tesla? Because I would do the same thing. I'd see people buy the Ferraris and I'd be like, what a douche. But now it's like, I get it, and when people are at a different point in their life, it doesn't really matter. I mean, once you have the money and you enjoy it and you're buying it for you, you're not buying it to stunt and in your case, you're buying it also as a marketing expense. You're getting exposure by buying it from another YouTuber and stuff. Like, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And, now I just see things differently now. I don't ever, at this point, I used to be a judger. I still probably am, but, it's just like, all right, if Chandler wants to buy a Ferrari, like, that's tight. Like, cool. I'm sure he did it, for the best use for him. He enjoys it, and he probably has another reason behind it we don't know about.
Yeah, no, and I think that's important because I am the same way. You spend a lot of your life judging people for the way that they spend their money, and that's their money for one. But two, I think, especially with my business, anytime you see me spend money, if you follow the money, yeah, a lot of those things bring enjoyment, but everything kind of works together, right? It's beneficial in one way or another, and whether that's because I want to give my sales reps an experience or because it's going to help the YouTube channel or whatever it is, people, for the most part, have a reason for those spending.
Yeah.
So that, and if they don't, that's okay. Like that's why you work hard to do what you do. And that's what's funny about Graham is I know he's a car guy. I know he would enjoy experiencing some of those things, and he deserves it. He's earned it. And it's okay that he doesn't. Like, again, that's his brand. But I think for me, that cherry is awesome to work towards, and you can reward yourself once you've made the right decisions.
Well, he, so we've been working with him. So I filmed with a YouTuber named Lucky Lopez. He's a car guy out here in Vegas, and he knew that Graham was looking for a Ford GT, and I don't know much about like those types of cars, but so I connected both of them together because Lucky, was looking at one, and Graham was looking at one. And so they might end up buying it, but I was like, man, how much is this Ford GT, like this 05? And they're like, yeah, it's like 120,000. I'm like, are we talking about the same car? Like, this is an 05? Like, this isn't like a Ferrari or like, why is the Ford so expensive? Like, I don't get it, but I'm like, more power to you. Like, Graham, if you're gonna spend money, that's awesome. Yeah, like, I'm proud of you.
Well, I think that is another thing that comes back to follow the money, and with Graham, there's always going to be a way that it's going up in value or making him money.
Oh, yeah, for 100%.
And so would Graham buy a sports car at this point that's depreciating? No. He's going to buy a car.
Ferrari.
Yeah, he's going to buy a car that's going to go up in value because that's who he is, and that's awesome.
Yeah. No, you got to just figure out what brings you enjoyment. Yeah, like a funny thing for me, too, was watches. I never even thought about buying a luxury watch. I still got my Apple Watch on right now. And, I started watching YouTube, and all these guys are talking about watches. I'm like, what's a Patek? Like, I literally didn't know what a Patek was until last year. And then I started asking my guys, I'm like, what other watches are there out there? Like, all I know about is Rolex. And they're like, there's AP, there's a Patek, there's this. I'm like, so I started looking at them. And then I was actually in Provo, Utah, which we were talking about earlier. And I was filming with a billionaire out there. And he had this huge watch collection. He starts talking about them and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I guess I got to get a watch, man. So
I'm in the same boat, and it's funny because I talk heat on people with cars, and now I own cars. Yeah. But right now, the watch thing doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
We'll see if that changes. But I'm like, you say P-Tech, I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Exactly. I didn't either. So it is what it is. But speaking of spending, again, we're both doing something really exciting that's is actually pretty similar now that we were talking about it off camera. But we're both building dream homes.
Yeah.
Tell me about yours, dude.
Yeah, we started the process a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Oh, you've been at it for a minute.
It's been a minute. Yeah, I think we bought the lot even over a year ago now. I'm trying to remember, but we just decided we wanted to do it. And for me, and this, I love that ours is kind of different, but everything, again, I do kind of works hand in hand with my business. So I'm sure it'll help on YouTube, but the biggest part of my house is creating a cool environment for my sales reps to come and hang out. And so we're building a house that has an indoor basketball court and an indoor swimming pool because it's in Idaho, 6 months out of the year. It's cold outside. And then a big like locker room, hangout, man cave.
That's sick.
Set up. So the house is going to be 18,000 square feet of like under roof.
That's insane.
There's a lot of that's garage space, and then
how much is like living space?
I would say actual living, not including all the sales rep stuff, is probably 8,000 square feet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the court takes up a lot. The garages take. I mean, you'll probably have a Lambo by then too.
That's the goal. But yeah, I just want it to be this awesome space where all of my people can come. A lot of times we'll fly in a lot of my big sales reps from all over the country and just have a place where they can sleep, where they can shoot, they can swim, they can hang out, and it's kind of a separate part of my house so that my life can go on
Yeah.
per usual and I can bounce back and forth. And
Yeah.
So
I love it, dude. So what do you think? What are you going to be all in at that?
we're gonna see. I feel like the budget is creeping.
Oh, it always does. It always does.
As we're going. Originally, I wanted to be $2 million or less. I think realistically, we'll see. It'll be under 2.5. I don't want to go over 2.5.
But what if it does?
I mean,
This is your forever home.
yeah, it's true. I think things, we can afford to do more if we need to.
Right. The last thing, my fear is with my dream home is like, obviously we all have a budget, right? We don't want to go nuts.
I think we all have our this would be a cool budget, and then this is I'm not going past
this
this
is the
budget.
line. But then,
and then I'm really not
Yeah.
going past this budget.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is because the last thing I want, and this is what I'm thinking about, is things are scaling and growing, and you are too. It's today, this is my budget. But if I build this house 2 years from now, which that's what it takes, what's my budget going to be then, right? And then 5 years from now, I'm sitting here living it. I'm like, dude, I wish I would have built the full basketball court,
Yeah.
not the half court. It annoys me looking at the half court now because that's what happens.
Yeah, it's true. Well, and with us, I didn't want to do anything dumb. I mean, that's my big pitch is I wanted my passive income to very easily be able to cover the house and all of our other expenses. But we kind of had a vision of, maybe down the road we'll want this. And we're on 4 acres. So I left space for a very cool garage to add later. If we want to.
Yeah.
With
Like a
lot of
showroom kind of
Yeah,
garage.
yeah. I just envisioned the big glass wall with a cool
Sick.
office overlooking cars and having other office space for people to come hang out. And so that is there if we want to add it later.
Right.
And
You don't
then
need it today.
Yeah, and then everything else we knew we needed today, we could put in and do it right. And you always, things have gone up a little bit with COVID for sure, but you'll find little things you want to add, or you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. That'd be cool. So,
Yeah.
And we planned for that, but it still hurts a little bit when you've got to spend more, but it's part of it.
Yeah. So I got an idea for you.
Okay.
Don't steal it though, but I'm just going to tell you it.
I've
So-
already decided to steal it. So.
So yeah, because you're already ahead of me in the process. So you'll be done, and then all of a sudden the ideas are like, Ryan took his idea.
If you think I'm not watching your video and be like, hey, Maddie, we can still, my wife's Maddie, we can still make this change. Let's throw it in. We can get it done before he does. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So we just started the process. I bought the land back in December.
The mountain.
The mountain, yeah, it's the mountain. So I bought my mountain back in December, and we're already me, dude. It's go time, baby.
Cranking.
Yeah. So my architect, we're actually meeting with him on Saturday, and he's already got his first set of plans.
That's
We hired him in January. We're filming now in the beginning of February, so it's I really want to get this done in 2 years. That's my goal. And one of the ideas he had was I want to build this man cave, full court, gym, all that stuff, dude, because I love it, man. I would love to have my employees come over too, and even the thought of holding an event in the indoor basketball court would be sick,
Yeah.
YouTube event, whatever, right? Education event. So using the house multi-purpose wise like you. But one idea he had was, in my wish list, I'm like, hey, I want full court indoor. It's going to be this massive thing. And I was like, I also want a tennis court, and I want this. And, the tennis court and the basketball court, that's a lot of land. And I don't have 4 acres like you guys do out there. Land is scarce here. And he's like, why don't we put the tennis court on top of the basketball court and have a rooftop tennis court?
That is sick.
And I was like, I've never heard of that. I was like, but that would be the sickest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, you've got so much more flexibility too, because you've always got good weather. You're not dealing with a foot of snow for months on end. So that's sick. I really would love to have the outdoor pool space that you guys get here, but it just didn't make
won't
sense.
work.
Yeah.
Do people do them at all out there?
They do, but you just recognize you get them for 3-4 months. That's really quality, and then you've got the month or two before and after where you can push it or heat up the pool or whatever. And with ours, we just wanted to make it to where everything opens up, so it almost feels outdoor. Yeah. But then all winter we can still use it.
So have you guys broken ground yet?
We have. Yeah, we've got almost the whole place framed.
Oh, dang. So okay,
we're cranking.
It'll be done this year.
It will. Yeah, I'm thinking by the end of the year. We're hoping before the year's over. Yeah. So it takes a long time to build a house
I've heard
like that. So
you'd be like, 3 years.
My goal is to get in before Christmas,
yeah.
And our builder thinks we can pull that off. My wife is like, dude, we're not going to be there till like February, March. But
I'm with your wife on this one, dude. One thing I know is construction, and the other thing I know is it's usually not on time or on budget.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I felt, you're right.
But hey, you got to be optimistic in this business.
It's true. I mean,
you got to push, because if you don't push for that, and you're like, yeah, March is good, it turns into June.
Exactly. If I'm not holding the line by the end of the year, you're right.
And that's kind of like what we do with our budget. We're like, $2 million is what we need, but we know it's to get us to 2.5.
Yeah, it's true. Yep. Are you guys hiring a designer for the inside, or is your wife going to do all that, or you?
She is not going to do all that. Yeah. It is just too big of an undertaking. I put it out on Instagram and in my YouTube video. I'm like, hey, vendors, anybody who wants to work on this project, obviously it's going to be epic. There's going to be a lot of exposure. Send me your proposal, resume, whatever. So I actually had a lot of people email me, like across the country, architects, GCs, interior designers, all that stuff. And I've had people offer to do it for free, for the exposure. And interior design is not cheap.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not cheap. But, at the end of the day, it once again is one of those things where it's like, dang, they're willing to do it for free. Like, but then it's like, but this is our forever home. Like, it's not that you get what you pay for, but it's just like, you want to get it exactly the way you want,
Yeah.
Why go all of this headache to get to the very end and then cheap out?
So totally. And we went through the same process. Your timing is a little better because my channel was smaller when we started the process and when we picked a designer. But at the end of the day, that's something that you're not going to want to look back and be like, oh, I saved, $5-10 grand. But
exactly. I am not happy with it.
Yeah.
So she's in charge of interior design. Honestly, I'm at the point where I did the fun thing, which was acquire the land, negotiate a killer deal. I hired the architect and the GC, who are both very good, and they do think the budget is doable, which in my mind, I know it's not, as long as they're not watching this. Guys, $3 million, that's where we're at. All right. My budget's $3 million, my soft line, and the project's going to go good from here on out. My wish list is known. So it's just like, all right, just execute. We just got to execute.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. I'm excited. You're going to have me come back out. I want to see it when it's done.
Yeah, man. The plan is to, once again, you got to make content with everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's so cool about today's world. And, that's why one of the mission statements for the show is innovate, because with just YouTube and social media and all that, it's like you can literally monetize anything. Anyone can go build a house, but if you make cool content from it, the house could theoretically pay for itself, right? And so we're going to be doing some really cool filming with this. And that's part of the reason why I was okay spending $60 grand on cameras and stuff, so that we could film it, legit documentary style. Who knows? Netflix could pick it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if that happens, or, even just putting it on YouTube, like all the exposure, if it helps my channel grow and leads to, all the back end revenue, whatever it leads to, it's a win-win for everyone, because people are going to enjoy watching the process, and we can basically subsidize the process.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really fun too, because you're building a house right now. The Stradman is building a house right now. I'm building a house right now. It's going to be fun to see all of these come together and do videos with each other and compare. And come over and feel jealous because I don't have the tennis court on the roof.
It's just not possible where you're at.
Yeah, it's a fun process though, and I think that for me, and this is something I would tell to everybody that's, on Instagram, on Facebook, on whatever platform they're using, whether they're on YouTube, it's scary to share your successes because you receive that judgment that we talked about earlier. But as you share your successes, as you share what you're working on, as you share your failures and all of that, it's crazy whether you're on, big scale and have 100,000 plus or 1 million plus subscribers on YouTube, or if you've got 2,000 people following you, it always has a way to benefit you and to get you connections and to push your business forward. And so it's intimidating, but I think more people should put their stuff out there because there's so many different ways that it can benefit you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I tell this to people all the time. Like, if you really want to grow your business or create other streams of income, social media is like easily the best way. There's not even a question that anything is better at this point. And it's going to continue to grow and get crazier. And, if you're making good content, you're even if it's not good, but you're just posting a lot, you're going to get haters either way. I mean, I get people who hate on me all the time for the dumbest things, all the way from my hair to, spending this much money on a dream home.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is you've got a lot of hair, right?
Yeah.
So people make fun of me because I don't have enough and I've got a fat forehead. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to catch heat on YouTube.
Yeah, you're going to get it no matter what happens. And it's just, that's why I say, like, back to the judgment of, you on other people. I've just learned over the years that you just don't know what somebody else is doing or what they're going through. And it's just dumb to even try and worry about anyone else's life.
Yeah, it's very true. I think it's a big life lesson for sure. And I also think sometimes in social media, it's tempting to be polarizing and to attack or talk down. Yeah, and it's something that, you've got to be careful with because everybody's in a different situation. And
well, you don't know that, like, I already have a video lined up, like, Chandler Smith is fake. You guys, he's a fraud.
Caught him in the act.
I caught him in the act. I grilled him. He didn't know. So that one's coming. Stay tuned, guys.
Awesome. Sounds good. As long as you put my link in the description.
As long as it gets you more clicks, too. We'll do this response back and forth. That cracks me up on YouTube when that happens. My reaction to so-and-so's reaction. I'm like, how many reactions do we need for the same thing? It's like, so what's we're coming up close to, the end of the show. What's the next thing in store for you, man? What's the big plans?
I just really want to take that next all-in phase. I know you talked to me about a goal of 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I think I have the same vision for my channel. It's going to be really fun to watch both of us go at it in our way. But I love bringing value, and I'm trying to find the best way possible to build a following and bring a ton of value on a bigger scale. So that's a big thing. I want to build my real estate portfolio in a big way. I think every year if I'm buying 50 to 100% more property than I did the previous year, that I'm going to be happy with that growth. But if I can grow even faster than that, I would love it. And with my sales organization, same thing. I mean, we've had huge growth the last couple of years, and I want to keep that up because that really gives me the opportunity to work with individuals. And that's what I love about it. I don't ever want to completely step out of having an impact on 20-something-year-old kids where not only do I get to train them on sales, but I get to help them to make that first real estate investment. I get to interact with them on a daily basis. I get to help them to make the right moves with their money and their future and their decisions. Because I do think there's a weird vacuum maybe or just gap where kids in that age group don't get what they deserve or what they need to find direction sometimes. And that's been really fun to be a part of. So in those 3 areas, I think I just want to double down in all of them and continue to build.
And then obviously get the house done this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's harder than 1 million subs, I think.
You think?
I just don't think it's going to get done.
Yeah, you're right. It's so funny because for me, the house is so, it's going to be awesome when it's finished.
Right.
But it's not, it's already in the process. It's going to get done when it does. I don't feel like it's like this cool goal. I think getting to the point where I could make the jump into it is cool, but
Yeah.
It's not on my radar other than the fact we drive by it 3 times a week to go
Dude,
check in.
I'm kind of the same way. Like, it's done. Like, it's going to happen. Like, I'm already on to the next goal.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
And that's kind of the crappy. It's not crappy, but it's just like success does that. Like, you hit your goal and you're like, what's next? What's the next goal? And for me, it's funny. Like, you're like, I'm doubling down on all these things. I love it because my brain thinks a little different where I'm like, yeah, what else can I start? Like, let's do this one now. Let's do this one now. When, I should double down a lot of things, which to me, social media and YouTube's like still in the startup phase. But I already know once I like achieve the goal of like, say 1 million, I'm going to be like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
I don't want to like go so hard at this anymore. Obviously I'll still do it. It'll still run and, we'll make awesome content, but I highly doubt that I'll be as motivated to be like, let's get to 5 million. Let's catch Mr. Beast,
You will be, though. Once you get there, I'm sure it transitions, right?
We'll see. We will see. But
question for you.
Okay.
I know we're getting close to the end, but this is something I feel like a lot of people don't talk about because it's kind of weird. But are you a big visualizer with the house, with the other stuff? Have you already lived that 100 times, or is it something where you're not as much of a visualization guy?
So I learned visualization through sports. We had the psychiatrist and, all of those performance coaches talk about how important it is. Like, before the game, start thinking about that pitcher, visualize yourself getting that hit, hitting that home run, making that play. And it 100% works. I mean, there's no doubt about it that if you visualize it before, you're going to have a much likelier success of, it happening. You've played it out in your mind 100 times. Now, am I a believer in, like The Secret and the law of attraction? Not so much. I don't think there's obviously I've shared my faith that I'm a Christian. I believe in God, but I don't believe like there's like this universe force, like bringing me all these things I think about. But I do believe that just visualizing all these things pushes me to go achieve them. It's not like this magic voodoo happens where it comes to me. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Well, I love to see that because it's something that we don't talk about. It's kind of offset, but I know for me especially, visualization is big because it's already happened.
Yeah.
And that changes my actions.
100%.
When I know something's happened and when I'm living it on a daily basis,
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to say, all right, do I go, kick it on the couch, or do I do what I know is required to make it happen? And it's a lot easier to do the latter.
And 100%. I think it just reinforces your belief that you can do it by seeing it, even though it hasn't. You're tricking yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
And I've done that, my whole life. I mean, I have visualized this dream home of, wanting to have this strip view in Las Vegas and, 2 acres. Like, I visualized it and having an indoor court. Like, I've been thinking about this for years. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it would happen this quick.
Yeah.
But, the right opportunity presented itself, and it was like, wow, that's crazy that this happened. So, yeah, I'm a believer in that, and, that's why the podcast exists, because I like talking about this type of stuff where you can't really talk about it on YouTube because you're going to lose people.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, this is how I visualize. On my business channel, people are like, what? Like,
Yeah. Well,
what's this hippie doing?
I have made that video probably 4 or 5 times and never decided to post it because it's something I believe in, and I love tricking your mind and making sure that not only do you have your goals, but then like you're all in on them.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's a video that when I finish it, I'm like, people aren't going to watch this. So,
dude, I mean, that's different. You've already filmed it, so just post it at this point, dude. What's funny is like these guys, I've watched interviews with Mr. Beast and stuff. He'll be like, there's so many videos I have that I don't post, right? Because they just didn't meet the standard or the quality.
yeah.
We've had a couple that fit that where, maybe the audio or something was screwed up and it was just like unusable. But the ones that I don't even feel good about, like I'll have filmed it, they'll have edited it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just freaking release it. Like we all put the work in. Like you just never know.
And they usually do better than you think too.
They really do. Like a lot of my worst videos had, not good audio quality, or not my worst videos. A lot of my best videos, the quality wasn't that great compared to where we are now. but people like the message. And so that's why I'm like, the visualization is a good message. And maybe, YouTube or your followers aren't necessarily looking for it, but you just never know what's going to happen when you post something.
Yeah. Have you had videos you've posted and then taken down?
I'm trying to think. Maybe like one or two, but no, I mean, we usually leave them up for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think I have like a video with like 100 views right now still.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, ironically, it was a baseball video. I'm like, yeah, people want to hear about baseball. No, they don't.
It's so interesting because you get a lot better posting content, knowing what people like.
Right.
But it's hilarious. Some stuff that you're like, that's going to be subpar, and they love it. And then some stuff where you're just like, man, people are going to freaking love this. And it just bombs, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, I was saying my top 2 videos are a California tax video, which I was like, whatever, this is crazy that California does this, and it went crazy. And then couch flipping. It was like, this is just something I used to do. Like, if you guys want to do it, it's cool. And it's like, that is the best idea. I'm like, what? No, real estate is. You guys need to get into real estate. Why you guys want a couch flip? Like, this is what I got away from, man. Dude, it's crazy. That's why I'm like, hey, if we filmed it, just post it. Like, let's let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I know Kevin is that way.
He'll just post everything.
Yeah, he's just like, he's very much just getting out good content, but
yeah,
he I mean, that guy's figured it out, but he's just always putting everything
Yeah.
out.
I don't think he knows how to speak without a camera in front of him. Like, that's just his life at this point. Oh, I'm watching the news. Okay. Yep. All right. Post it.
You see, I think it was last week, and maybe he's been doing this a lot. I can't keep up with all his videos anymore, but he was playing video games.
He's a streamer
Literally
now.
playing video games, talking about the news, and I'm just like, dude, the poor guy just wanted to play video games, but he knew he had to keep putting.
He had to
videos
make
out.
some money doing it. Dude, that's the dream, man. Your whole life is, it's like, what's that Jim Carrey movie?
The Mask? Or
No, if you guys are still watching, an hour in, comment below on YouTube what movie I'm thinking about with Jim Carrey, where
he's only got like 100 videos out.
I know. He hasn't done that many. I got to be able to think of it. Where they're watching him, like his life as a TV show, The Truman Show.
Yeah.
The Truman Show. So, yeah, that's Meet Kevin right now. So he's just The Truman Show. Everything he does is just filmed, and if he wants to talk or play video games or watch the news, he's getting paid to do it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, well, cool, man, dude. It was awesome having you here.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're definitely going to be filming some more content. So, make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. If you are watching this on YouTube, we're going to link to Chandler's socials below. Go subscribe to his channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. And, I'm going to have to come out to Idaho Falls. Definitely not in the winter. I will come out.
Yeah, come when it warms up.
Yeah.
You have to come. We'll have a room just for you.
Yeah,
once the house is done,
I'll stay in the man cave or the court. It's all good. Either way's good. But anyways, guys, appreciate everyone for listening. And until next time, take care.
See you guys.
Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.